Hey, thanks so much for joining us today, everybody. My name is Trisha. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at MediaSmarts, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it right over to the Get Cybersafe team, to my friend Julia, to get us started today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever, wherever you are. Welcome to our first workshop for Cybersecurity Awareness Month for 2025. Your future you will thank you for being here today because you're doing one thing that can help make you feel more secure and more safe when you're online, doing all the things that are required for our daily life now. I want to first start out with acknowledging that CSE, the department that runs Get Cyber Safe, our offices at Edward Drake and on Venue Parkway, where I am here today, are on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Our Montreal offices are on the traditional unceded territory of the Mohawk Nation. As part of CS culture, we want to acknowledge that these nations have been on the land since time immemorial. It's important that we recognize the history of their stewardship of this land and understand that their contribution to its present and future well-being has been essential. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge all Indigenous people across Canada, and their connection to this land. As public servants, we recognize that our obligation to learn about Indigenous history and to work towards the implementation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action and the implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. I also want to recognize that we all work in different places, like I mentioned, and therefore you may be working in a different Indigenous traditional territory. So I encourage you to take some time to think about the commitment to the land that you're on and its history and what a privilege it is for us to be on it. Thank you. So I appreciate everyone's time and importance for joining us today in today's session. My name is Julia, and I'm here on behalf of Get Cyber Safe. Get Cyber Safe is the Government of Canada's public awareness campaign to help Canadians stay safe online. We're so happy to be partnering with the Canadian Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse and the Elder Abuse Prevention of Ontario, and MediaSmarts, of course, for this workshop. Together, we're all helping Canadians of all ages and backgrounds to build the digital skills and confidence needed to stay secure online. At Get Cyber Safe, our goal is to make cybersecurity simple, relatable, fun, and a part of everyone's daily habits, whether it's using a stronger password or better yet, a passphrase, spotting scams, or just keeping your devices up to date and enabling things like MFA. Cyber threats can feel complicated, but your safety online really starts with small, everyday choices. So that's why partnerships like this one are so important. They bring together the expertise from different organizations to empower Canadians with the tools and knowledge to protect themselves online. I'm so excited for MediaSmarts to walk us through the practical ways to strengthen our online safety. But first, let's maybe take a pause and listen to the song that we have to celebrate Cyber Month. I hope it doesn't get too stuck in your head.
Look back now, I start to reflect the things I did right to keep my online life in check. The risk I dodged, the hacks I outsmarted. It all began the day I got cyber safe hearted. Secured my accounts, all my devices too. Automatic updates, the least that I could do. Firewalls and vigilance, artificial intelligence with new AI threats. There's precedence. Get cyber safe now for future you. Spotted scans with a sharper view. Phishing emails I saw right through. No data stolen, no identity miss. I click with caution and I always second guess. I always second guess. Now that I'm older, I'm proud of my past. My good cybersecurity habits really did last. Use strong passphrases, all you need to turn on multi-step just like the cyber pros do. Use the VPN on public Wi-Fi. Ignore the fake news that caught my eye. Backed up my files, kept my software clean. Now I'm living the digital dream. It's I'm safe now for future you. Spotted scans with a sharper view. Phishing emails I saw right through. No data stolen, no identity miss. I click with caution and I always second guess. I always second guess. Ransomware tried to lock my world away, but with backup saved, I was okay. I didn't gatekeep, I shared what I knew. Help friends and family on level up too. So thank you, me, for thinking ahead, for learning the risks, for doing what's said. You kept us safe, our future bright. We got cyber safe and we got it so right.
Yay. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of the things that we're really proud of, our full first feature-length song. And if you know anything about Get Cyber Safe, you know that we love a jingle. So take a look at some of our other videos on our YouTube channel. But with that fun stuff out of the way, I will now turn it over to our co-host from the Canadian Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse and for the Center for, the Canadian, oh my gosh, my brain, please accept my apologies. The Canadian Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse and Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario. Thank you, to give us some opening remarks. And they will know the names of their organizations off by heart. I promise you that. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this introduction. I reassure you right now, I have stumbled on the name of my own organization before. It's a mouthful. I often refer to it as CNPEA to go faster. Hello, everyone. My name is Benedict Chaplin. I'm the Executive Director of CNPEA. We are a pan-Canadian organization working, virtually across the country. And our mission is really to improve awareness, supports, and capacity to develop a national coordinated approach to elder abuse and neglect. And, a lot of the work that we do is focused on education, sharing resources, promoting knowledge mobilization and collaborating with organizations and services like today with EAPO and MediaSmarts and Get Cyber Safe. So I'm extremely pleased to be here. I'm so happy to see you all, finding a good way to mark Cyber Safety Month. And I hope you will enjoy this first session of many. We'll be here for all of them in the next few weeks. So with this, Ryan, if you want to say a word.
Great. Thank you, Benedict. Thank you, MediaSmarts and Get Cyber Safe. It's so nice to collaborate and partner on these important initiatives because part of our mandate is also similar to Benedict's, is to educate individuals to protect their safety and well-being. So Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario is a provincial organization recognized for its leadership in elder abuse prevention in the province, providing education and training, resource development, and information to this complex problem that's unfortunately increasing in prevalence across our country. So we work collaboratively with many partners to address and combat this issue. Our vision really is to make sure that seniors are free from ageism and abuse, where human rights are protected, advanced, and respected. We host many webinars, including sessions like this with partners. We provide training sessions to older adults and to agencies who are providing support to older adults to make sure that they are equipped to recognize the signs and provide intervention when they do suspect abuse happening. We also host a podcast called Aging Vibrantly, Conversations to Empower Seniors, which can be available on our website as well as on anywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you're looking for more information and fact sheets, please visit our website at www.eapon to find out more offerings that we provide. So again, recognizing cybersecurity safety awareness month. We're pleased to be here and partner, and looking forward to the next few workshops and to learn ourselves and pass that along also beyond our workshops today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker, our presenter today, who's going to walk us through this fabulous workshop we have prepared for you. From MediaSmarts, obviously, Canada Centre for Digital Media Literacy, we have Jennifer Casa-Todd with us. She is one of MediaSmarts' expert speakers, and she focuses on helping Canadians think more critically and use technology safely and more responsibly. Jennifer is an award-winning educator, so we're very lucky to have her with us today. She's a keynote speaker, and she's actually an author specializing in digital citizenship and media literacy. She is passionate about amplifying the student voice, so hopefully we'll get to hear some of your voices in the chat today. She likes showing teachers, parents, and students how they can use technology positively and productively to make a difference in the world. So we're very lucky to have her here for our Discovering Online Safety workshop. Just a short recap on why you're all here. Today, we'll go over some of the simple ways to protect your digital habits, like choosing strong passwords, downloading applications safely, and avoiding online scams, among many other things. You'll see we have a jam-packed schedule. So over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. And can you all see my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Amazing. So welcome to our session on discovering online safety. I am thrilled to be here, and simple and relatable. We're hoping that that's what you are able to take away from this presentation from MediaSmarts. So before we get started, I'd like you to think for a minute about what you're hoping to get from this workshop. And you don't have to answer out loud, though you may want to find the chat. There will be some polls shared there. If you have a question, we're going to actually take questions at the end, but if you have a question and you think you'll forget, you're welcome to use the chat in order to ask that question. So think about these questions. What are some of the things you'd like to do? What are some of the things that you wish you could do online? How do you think the internet can help you do those things? And what about the internet makes you nervous? Okay, let me just bring that down for a second. It seems. So it's not news that the internet can make it a lot easier to do things like watch TV and movies, to keep in touch with friends and family, and to find important information. So more and more, even, you need to be using the internet to get government services or apply for a job. But a lot of people are nervous about using the internet, and there are things to be careful about, including identity theft and computer viruses, scams, and other problems. The good news is that you can protect yourself from most of these risks with just a few simple steps. So as we shared, at the end of the workshop, you will know how to make a strong password that you can remember, safely get new apps and programs for your devices, and learn to recognize the most common ways that people try to cheat you on the internet. And before we get started, we'd love to do a quick poll to find out how much you already know. So you need to go onto your browser for this, and I think Trisha is going to be sharing the link to this as well. how many people are using, like, what are you using your devices for? You're going to go bit.ly/digital smarts poll. Or if you are not sure how to navigate back and forth between this presentation and the poll, you are welcome to use your phone to simply scan that QR code. It should take you directly to the poll. Thank you, Tricia, for sharing that. So I'll just give you a couple minutes just to do that before we get started. And maybe a thumbs up when we're ready to go. Just go into the chat and put a thumbs up. Okay, so we'll give people another minute. We are going to be talking about some common terms today. And so one of the common terms is up on the screen now, and that is a browser. When someone says to, open up your browser, that's an app or a program that lets you visit websites. And there are different browsers. If you're on Apple, you're using Safari. If you typically use Google, then you might be using Chrome. You might be using Firefox. Those are called browsers. Okay, looks like many of us have gone on, so we are going to get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is passwords and PINs. This is the most important step that you can take to protect yourself so that only you are using your devices and your accounts. So a PIN is a code that you have to enter to use your device. Phones, tablets, and some computers are usually locked with a PIN. And in order to get there, you need to enter the PIN. Some devices, though, aren't PIN locked unless you turn that on. And that should be one of the first things you do when you get a new device. Otherwise, anyone who picks up your device can see what's on it. And that's not really cyber safe. So hopefully maybe a thumbs up. How many of you already use some kind of PIN for your device? I love that comment. It's important to have a circle of trust to call and get support when in doubt. We're going to talk a little bit about scams later. So on Apple devices, like an iPhone or an iPad, you would tap settings and then Face ID and passcode. Passcode is their word for PIN. It'll ask you to set a PIN with 6 numbers, but you can also choose to do a shorter one or one that includes letters as well, just one that you will remember. On Android devices, you're going to tap settings and then scroll down to lock screen and security. And then tap screen lock type and then pick the type of lock you want. You can choose a PIN, so numerical, a password, or a pattern that you can draw on the screen. And it doesn't matter which one you choose as long as you lock your device in some way. Super important. Okay, so we're going to talk about passwords. How many of you feel like you know what makes a password good or bad? So I guess thumbs up if you think you know, thumbs down if you don't. And that's why we're here. So maybe a couple of thumbs down would be great. And how many of you have trouble thinking of passwords for different accounts? Or maybe you think of really secure passwords, but then you have trouble remembering them. That's me. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can create passwords that you remember. So unlike devices, if you want to use email or social networks like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., you need to create a password. And because of that, you sometimes don't have a lot of time to think about a password. That's why a lot of people use passwords that just are not safe. Here are some of the most common passwords used in 2018. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not good at all. The word password, also an easy one to hack. QWERTY, which those are the first 6 keys on the top of your keyboard. 11111, also not super safe, and I love you, although lovely, not a secure password. Other times people use passwords that anybody who knows you can guess. So your middle name or your date of birth, for example. Also not super great choices. So even if you're not using one of the most common passwords and your password isn't something that people could easily guess, there is a difference between weak and strong passwords. What makes a password strong comes down to these three things. First, it isn't just one thing. It's not just numbers, it's not just letters. So there's a mix of letters, characters, and symbols. Secondly, it isn't based on a single word. It's actually a phrase. And thirdly, you don't use it on more than one site. And I know that's hard, right? Because how do I remember to keep it on different, how do I remember it from site to site? But we're going to talk about that. So after trying the most common passwords, most would-be hackers or people who break into other people's systems or accounts use a program that actually tries every possible password. Because they're computer programs, they can do this very quickly. So having a mix of letters, numbers, and other things like punctuation marks can slow that down quite a bit. So what you could do is start with a regular word and replace some of the letters with numbers or other characters, like here. So we took the word bananas, and in place of the A's, we added the @ sign. And in place of the S at the end, we put the number 5. And you don't always have to put a capital letter at the beginning. You're just going to mix and match as you wish. Programs that try to guess passwords often run through the whole dictionary. So even if you've just changed a few letters into numbers or characters, they might still be able to guess it. So to help with that, make a phrase with your word. So we could turn bananas into bananas are yellow, or I like bananas, for example. Most passwords do not allow spaces, so you would just keep the words together. And then you would replace some of the letters in the new words with numbers or other characters. So again, there's I like bananas as my phrase. And then we've changed all the I's to exclamation marks. We've kept the A's as @ signs. We capitalized the N in the middle and put the number 5 at the end in front of the S. Are we getting that? So we will hold on questions to the end, and hopefully this will become super clear. And then finally, we don't want to use it on more than one website. So what do? A lot of time, the sites themselves are the ones that get hacked, not your account. So hackers can even get at a strong password if they hack a site. But then how do we remember different passwords for different sites? One easy way to do this is just to add the first and the last letter of the site to the password. For example, I like bananas. You have that. It works really, really well. But now I'm signing up for a Facebook account. So I'm going to start with an F at the beginning and a K at the end. Do you see that? So Facebook, FK. And if you're signing up for Kijiji, for example, it starts with a K and ends with an I. So you're going to take your I like bananas, put the K at the beginning and the I at the end. And you don't have to use this method exactly, but you want to do something like that so that you can easily identify, okay, I'm on this site. This is what my password is going to look like, but you still have a really safe and secure password. You can use that method that we just talked about for every password except your email. Because you use your email address to sign up for most of your other accounts, it is the one that's most important to keep private. So use the same method to come up with a password, but make sure it's totally different from all of your other accounts. That way, you still really only need to remember 2 passwords, the one that you use for your email and the one that you change slightly for your other accounts. All right. Another option is to use something called a password manager. This is a program that you use to handle your passwords for different accounts. It creates different, almost unbreakable passwords for each account and then handles logging into them for you. Brilliant, right? There is one popular manager that has like a free basic version that you could use. It's called LastPass. And it could be super useful, but it only solves the problem of having different passwords for different accounts. You still need to make sure you have a super strong password for the password manager, because anyone who could log into it can log into then all of your accounts. So hopefully that is clear. We have a mini quiz for you. I think Trisha is going to throw the link to this. Again, if you're comfortable navigating to your browser by clicking on the link and doing this quick quiz, do that. If not, if you feel more comfortable doing it on a separate device and you have a phone with you, you can scan the QR code up there that should take you to the same quiz. It should work the same way as we did a few minutes ago. And then I will just, thanks, Trisha. I will just, a thumbs up would be great when we can move on. Okay, I don't see any thumbs up yet. So hopefully soon. Thanks, Shannon. And again, if you're looking in the chat, there's a little happy face. If you click on that little happy face, Jennifer, you click on the little happy face, it'll give you some options for different emojis, and you can do a thumbs up. That's a really great question, and I should have specified that earlier. The fact that you're in the chat is awesome. You could also just say done. Thank you. Okay, so we're actually going to practice this now. Okay, so you're going to now make a password that you can remember. And so along with this presentation online, and I believe you will get this presentation, there's a worksheet. And on the worksheet, it's called a password builder worksheet. And what I've done is I've taken the instructions from the worksheet and put it here just so it's easier and you don't have to go find the worksheet online. So on a piece of paper beside you or on your notes app on your phone, you're going to think of a 6-letter word. Obviously, it's not necessarily going to be bananas. It could be any 6-letter word. Then you're going to replace some of the letters or numbers with characters, just like we did with bananas. In this case, I put a 6 instead of the 5 at the end. So you want to have a combination of letters, numbers, or characters. Then make a phrase with the word, like I like bananas. Then you're going to add the first and last letter of the account for Facebook. And you can use the chat if you need help. When you're done that, you're going to turn your paper over because we're going to check back in a little bit to see if you could actually remember that. My passphrases are always having to do with my kids or my dog, who you might hear Dax is crazy or Dax the rescue dog. So you're going to personalize it for something that you're going to remember. And then just give me a sign, either a thumbs up or a done when you are done and you have turned your paper over. You're fast, Shannon. Thank you. All right. You found it, Jennifer. Awesome. Kaylin, thank you. Time, Laura, thank you. All right. I am going to indubitably love it. We're going to move on. Hopefully you have a password. I just don't want us to run out of time for all the things we need to cover. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about are getting new apps. So most computers, smartphones, and tablets come with a lot of apps that are already installed. But you may want to get new ones. Someone in your family may be using a new social network like Instagram or WhatsApp, My daughter is in Germany right now, so we are only communicating on WhatsApp. There might be a new game that your child wants to play that you want to download on your computer. So, an app is a program that you can use on a phone or a tablet. And a lot of things that you would do through a browser on a computer, like watching Netflix or using a social network like Facebook, you can also usually do with an app on your phone or tablet. To use an app that's not already on your device, you would have to download it. So that means you would make a copy of whatever that is onto your device. You can also download other things like photos or video or music files. Those can come from websites, from texts or emails or other kinds of messages that people send you. But because downloading puts something new on your computer, it can be risky. So if something you downloaded isn't what you think it is, you might end up letting someone put something called malware on your computer. Malware means programs that make your device do things you don't want it to do. Some kinds of malware are computer viruses, which use your computer to send copy of themselves to other computers, and spyware, which watches what you do online and sends that information to the people who made it. Not good things. It can help them get into things like your bank account and other online accounts. So to be safe, you never want to download anything from an email, from a text, or any other message that you did not specifically ask for. So my friends send me a random link because they think it's funny. I always say, did you send this? Because I am not taking a chance in downloading on my computer unless I know for sure that my friend wasn't spammed or hacked. When you're only using a browser, only download from websites that you know you can trust. Okay, that's super important. You should also make sure that the web address starts with HTTPS. And that there is a little padlock symbol, a little lock symbol. We sometimes miss it when we're looking, but the padlock symbol in the address bar usually means that nobody else can see what you send to the site or that the site sends you. When you're using a phone or tablet, make sure you only download apps from the official store. So for Apple devices like iPhones, iPads, that means the App Store. Apps for Android devices should only be downloaded from the Play Store. Your device should come with one of those apps already on it. If you hear about an app, then go to the App Store or the Play Store, search for it there. Remember that a lot of apps don't cost anything to download, but they are freemium, which means you might have to pay to get the full version. Some others make you watch ads in order to use them or to try to get you to buy extra things while you're using them. Make sure you read what it says on the store page for that app so you know about costs and payments. You may also have to give your credit card information when you start an App Store or Play Store account. You shouldn't be charged for anything unless you buy an app or unless you buy something inside the app. And usually then it's taken care of through those apps themselves. To be safe, do not download an app while using a public Wi-Fi, even if it's a library or a coffee shop that you go to all the time. Both app stores also let users rate apps, so you can check out what other people have said about an app, which could be useful. On an iPhone or an iPad, you would tap the App Store icon on your screen to start. And if you've never used it before, you do need to make an App Store account. Now you can search for an app. You might look for an app for what you want the app to do. For example, you might tap weather to find a weather app if there isn't already on your phone. When you see different choices, you tap on whichever one interests you. Then you'll see information about the app. If it's free, you can just download it by tapping on it. And if it costs money, you would tap on the price. After that, you will need to confirm that you want to buy it. Once the app has downloaded, it will have its own symbol or icon on your home screen. In the Google Play Store, you can either search for a specific app or browse by topic. So, when you're doing this yourself, and we don't have time to do this together, you would tap on an app that interests you. If you decide to download it, you tap on it, install it as being free, or tap on the price if it costs money, and the icon will appear on your phone. Be careful. Some apps, and we're saying be careful a lot, but some apps look safe at first, but then ask you to give them personal details that they actually don't need. So don't enter personal information that the app doesn't need to work. And uninstall or remove an app that makes you do that requires you to do it. So sometimes if an app asks me for my phone and I don't like getting spam, I'm like, do I really want this app? I don't really want to give my phone number away. So that's a question you need to ask yourself. If an app asks you to let it do something strange with your phone, like make phone calls or use your camera when there's no good reason for it to, just say no and uninstall it. There are just so many apps out there, you don't want to take a chance on an app that is not safe. To uninstall apps from an Android device, you're going to touch on the app's icon, hold your finger on it until the uninstall option appears, and then you're going to tap it to uninstall. On an iPhone, you're going to tap and hold the icon until, now this screen says X, the newest iOS, it'll have a negative, just a minus sign. So when you see the minus, you're going to click on it and that will delete it. The delete option will appear anytime you touch and hold the icon, okay? I do see some questions. We're going to take them at the end. Those are all really good questions. And maybe while you're doing your quiz, if we have a chance, I'll be able to pull up those questions. Another thing to watch out for, and I think this might be connected to somebody's question, is how much data it uses. So data is what lets you use the internet on your smartphone when you're not on Wi-Fi. So it costs money to use. So if you're on your home Wi-Fi, or any Wi-Fi, that's not a big deal. Though videos can still make you go past your data limit. And you really have to worry about this more if you have a data limit. So if you use your data, it will cost you money when you download an app and anytime that app updates. It's going to cost money, or it's going to use data to update. A lot of apps also use data when they're on by sending video, photos, music, and so on. Even a weather app, for example, will send and receive data to tell the app where you are and to send information about the weather to your device. To see how much data you're using on either an Apple or Android device, you're going to start by tapping on the settings. On an iPhone or iPad, you're going to tap cellular. From here, you can set certain apps to not use data unless you approve it by sliding the switches to the left. On an Android device, you're going to tap data usage, and from there you can turn data on or off and set it to let you know anytime an app wants to use data. So as a general rule, I leave it on for maps because if I'm somewhere stuck, I want to be able to use data to find my way. But there might be other things, and find my phone I would keep on, but there might be other things that I don't need when I'm not on Wi-Fi or when I don't need data for. So that is how you would turn off or control how much data you are using. So we're going to do another quick quiz. And while you're doing that, I'm going to check the questions. Okay. This is bit.ly/quiz2discover. And I have also asked, I've also put the QR code there for you. I agree, Win. Smartphone should be called a memory phone. And then just give me a thumbs up or done when you're done the quiz. Okay, and a couple of questions. Is downloading over cell data safer than using Wi-Fi? It really depends on where you are. Like, so you wouldn't want to do it on a public Wi-Fi, but if you're at home, your Wi-Fi is generally password protected and it would be safe enough there. Cell data, again, would probably be okay, but it is going to use up a lot of your data. Is deleting an app that you think is suspicious safe enough, or are there other steps that need to be done? That is a great question. If you have just downloaded the app and you've looked at it and you've said, this is asking me for too much personal information, I'm just going to delete it, fine. But if you've already given your personal information, you may want to go directly to that app, the source, and make sure that you're deleting your personal information and also deleting your history. Really great questions. And I think we're done the quiz. Is it okay for me to move on? Thanks for those questions. Yes, Glenn, thank you. Special caution. Coffee shop, Wi-Fi. So we don't have time to do this right now, but I would encourage you to think of like an app that you might like and practice getting it. So going to the Microsoft .com/store or the Google Chrome store to find an app, or the App Store. One of my favorite things to look up are grocery flyers. And so the Flip app for grocery savings has saved me so much money. My turkey was much, much, much more less expensive because of that app. So you definitely want to try that. Don't be afraid of finding apps and using them, provided that you just do it cautiously. Another thing that worries a lot of people when they go online is being caught by scams. Jennifer, I see your thing there. We're going to talk about it, if you want, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. We're just going to move on. Another thing that worries a lot of people is scams. And my mom personally has been scammed 3 different times. Thankfully, she only lost money twice, but it was awful. There are so many scams out there, and they can cost you a lot of money if you believe them. So we're going to talk now about how you can spot most online scams. So there are 2 main things that scammers try to get from you. Either they want you to send them money, or they want your personal information. A lot of times they'll want you to send your bank account or credit card information so they can get money from you, or your password to your email account or social network accounts so they could pretend to be you. Scams can come in different ways. A lot of them come through email, so be suspicious of any email that comes from someone that you don't know. The same is true of text messages or messages on social networks like Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Sometimes, though, scammers will pretend to be someone you don't know, or someone might have downloaded malware. Remember, we talked about malware that makes their computer send out fake messages to all their contacts. One popular scam that takes advantage of this is when you get a message from someone you know saying they're in trouble and they need money right away. Don't answer those messages. Even if you think the person you know might really be in trouble, contact them another way to find out. And that happened with my mom when she didn't get scammed. We texted my niece to make sure my sister was okay. So find another way. Your emotions tend to get in the way and you want to protect the person who you think is in trouble, but be smart, be savvy. Scammers sometimes pretend to be places where you have an account. So like your bank or your internet provider. Some of the signs that a message is a scam is if they're asking you to send any of that kind of information. If they're asking you to follow a link that leads from one website to another, rather than go to their website on your own, or if they're trying to scare you by suggesting that you owe money or that one of your accounts is about to be closed. Do not ever click on a link that's inside a message from a bank, from Revenue Canada, or your internet provider, or anyone else like that. Instead, go to the real website and check there, or call them on the phone to check out if there's really, really a problem. Because notable, like your bank will never ask you. They'll always say, go to your own account and sign in because you have, it's safe to sign in through your account. So be really wary. Sometimes scammers try to trick you by making you think they will give you money. You might get a message telling you you have a tax refund, that you've won the lottery. Once a princess in Egypt left me her inheritance, or you're part of a business deal. Sometimes in the example here, they just want you to click on the link so that they can either get your personal information or download malware onto your computer. Remember, there is no such thing as free or a free lunch. And if you get a message like this, sorry, it might not be true. It's probably not true, so just delete it. If you think there is a chance it might be true, then go to the real website or call them on the phone, but do not use a phone number in that message. Go to a different tab on your browser and look it up to make sure you're getting the legitimate phone number, because sometimes phone numbers that are connected to these scams are also part of the scam. Again, and that happened to my mom, real story. One of the most common types of scam is called phishing. That's when scammers are trying to get you to give them information about your bank accounts or other accounts. Here's an example of a recent scam that actually appears as a web page. It opens without you trying to open it. And as you can see, it's an example of the money for nothing scam because it's telling you that you can enter a draw to win a tablet or a smartphone. If you're not actually a Rogers customer, then you already know it's a scam. But if you are a Rogers customer, how can you find out? Well, the first thing you want to do is take a look at the web address at the top in the browser. You'll see that it looks a little bit strange. So it's not just rogers.com or rogers.ca, which you might expect, but it has like ca-rogers-phone.com. It looks a little bit different, right, than it's supposed to be. I would recommend then that if you want to double check, you go to Google and you do a search for Rogers or look for the web address on one of your bills because you know that your bills are obviously legitimate. Now that you see it's a rogers.com, not the address you saw before, so you know it's probably not legit. Another thing you could do is go to the real Rogers site and look to see if there's anything about the contest. If there was a big contest and they were giving away lots of money, it would probably be on the homepage as a banner. It's pretty easy on the internet to make a fake website that looks a lot like the real one, but it's a lot harder to fake a web address. Okay, so that's another way to know. The other thing you could do is search for what the message is promising you. So in this case, we search Rogers and reward program, and the top result is actually a post warning us about the scam. So we get excited in the moment, but we need to do what we call lateral reading. We open up different tabs to search to see if what this is very legit. Why don't the URLs you're using have a lock at the front? It's because not the entire, it's just a screenshot. If you had seen the top of it, it would have a lock. That's a great question, Carol. If we do the same search and add the word scam, and I always do this, blah, 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 scam, you will get an even clearer message that this is a scam. And if we follow one of the links, we'll see a message from Rogers warning us about the scam. Okay, so typically, but not always, companies will recognize that there has been a scam in their name and will warn you. But again, follow all those steps. So super important, you never, ever, 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 ever want to share your full name, your full date of birth, your social insurance number, your mother's maiden name, your credit card information, your driver's license, or your passport number, because that is what people need for something called identity theft. That's when somebody pretends to be you so they can register for online accounts, so they could take out a credit card in your name. And identity theft usually happens because people have shared enough information about themselves that scammers who collect it can pretend to be there. And that's why we never ever share any of that information. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to spot the signs of a scam. So there is a worksheet in this Digital Smarts package, and I've taken elements of the worksheet and pulled them here just so it's easier. But you're welcome to go and find the worksheet link later if you want to test your kids or your grandkids or your neighbor or talk about it at book club. Okay, so just a couple of reminders. These are the guidelines that you'll find on the first page of the worksheet. So scammers don't use your name. If the email starts with something like "Dear Customer," then you should be suspicious. If it's sent to the wrong email, so you signed up for something with your Gmail account, but then it gets sent to a different account, it's probably a scam. If they don't have the right email address, so an email from Rogers should have rogers.com or rogers.ca, anything different, as we said, might give you a clue that it's fake. If they want you to open an attachment or download a file, that could be trying to put malware on your computer. If they want you to follow a link right from in the message or email to log in, instead of going directly to whatever the account is, then that's a problem because this is a way of getting your credit card information. A real email will say, go to the website and log in there. They want you to send them your login or personal information. A reliable company will never do this. And finally, they try to scare you. They say, like, act now, or if you don't do this within the next 24 hours, we're going to take you to court. Scam messages often tell you that something bad will happen if you don't follow their instructions right away. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So take a look at this for a couple of minutes and see. You can put your answer in the chat if this is a scam and how or why we know. Okay, so Lisa is saying the email address. Monique is saying the domain name is not right. Good. Right. That does not look right, does it? Yes, we think it's a scam. Any reasons why you think it's a scam based on what we talked about? They're asking for credit card information. They want you to click on a link. It looks like you might lose your Netflix capability if you don't press that. So there's that sense of immediacy, right? They're saying visit the help center or more information, contact us. If you click on that link, it's probably not going to take you to the real Netflix. Again, it's asking you or wanting you to click on links within there. And info at ixambi.com, definitely a big red flag. I just want to comment on one thing that was shared by Glenn. They don't use your name. More scammers are combing Facebook, etc., to glean information and are using effectively AI to mimic a relative. And that is happening with greater frequency. So what you want to make sure is that you are only friending people on Facebook that you know, and certainly that you're keeping your settings private. And again, even being wary of what you share on social media in general is a very good idea. So thank you for bringing that up, Glenn. Okay, so remember the password that you came up with before? Take a minute. Can you remember it? And turn the paper over to see if you were right. Anyone? Did you get it? And this might take a little bit of practice. And what you want to do is make sure that the passphrase that you come up with is one that you will readily remember. Okay, yay, some of you remembered it. Good for you. That's awesome. All right, well, what if something goes wrong? Let's move on. One of the most common reasons that people sometimes don't want to use the internet is because they're worried that something will go wrong. And the good news is that most of the time, it is pretty easy to fix your mistakes. On phones and tablets, you can usually exit an app without closing it by pressing the home button. If you want to close an app on the iPhone or an iPad, you're just going to push the home button twice and then use your finger to swipe the app you want to close off the screen. If you have a more recent iPhone or iPad with no home button, you're just going to swipe your finger halfway up from the bottom of the screen and then lift your finger, and that will open a new window where you can close all of your apps. And you want to do that on a regular basis. On an Android device, you're going to tap the square next to the home screen, the home button, and then swipe the app off the screen. And sometimes this is on the right and sometimes it's on the left. On a computer that uses Windows OS, you could press Control Alt Delete at the same time. They might not be exactly where they are, but Control Alt Delete will allow you to bring up a task manager window. And then when you click on the program that you want to close, you can press End Task. So that's how you would close a lot of the things, something that you saw that you didn't want. If you're using a Mac, you could press Command Option Escape instead. And if you have a problem that keeps happening, contact the support service for your advice. The web addresses for most kinds of devices can be found here: support.apple.com, support.google.com, or microsoft.com/Windows. Before we finish, let's review some of the key terms that we've learned in this session. So an app is something on a mobile device like a phone or a tablet that lets you do a particular job. And some examples of apps are games, email programs, or apps that let you watch YouTube or Netflix. A browser is the program or the app that lets your device visit web pages. So that includes Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And a link is something that leads you from one website to the other. Data plan brings internet signals using cell phone signals, and so it allows you to connect with the internet. Wi-Fi is what connects to a cable internet with or without plugging it in. It allows your computer, without any kind of wires or cables, to use Wi-Fi. And a PIN is a code that you need to enter or use your device. Downloading something means you're copying it from a website to your computer. Malware means programs like viruses do something to your computer that you don't want. And a phishing scam is one where somebody tries to get you to give up personal information, often about your bank account. So we do have time for questions, but I am going to go back because I think, Jennifer, are you okay if I share what you just put in? The bay was closing. You fell for someone who cloned enough from the site to make it look legit. Oh, darn. When there was an urgency to complete the payment, that you should be very wary. The site seemed to not have all the categories you would expect. And then when I selected something, it was telling me I had 10 minutes to complete it and the opportunity was lost. So I hope you didn't lose a lot of money, but it definitely is. Hopefully now after this presentation, you're able to just stop, think, and open up other browsers in order to make sure you're not being scammed. And scammers are getting savvier and savvier. I mean, I get about once or twice a day, I guess I've given out my phone too much. I get a hi from some random number and I just delete it and block it and report it right away. And I figure if the person really knows me, then they'll ask again. Oh no, Jennifer, you had to replace your credit card. And that's a really good lesson, right? Like none of us are too savvy. Like this happens. They're sophisticated, so we really do need to stop and think and support, I think, like our parents and neighbors who may not be as tech savvy as we are. Like I said, take this presentation and the worksheets, talk about it at book club, because these are important conversations to have everywhere. There is a practice sheet for the workshop. There's a video link to review what we covered today, as well as this entire presentation, if you want to refer to it again. And that's it for me, unless there are some questions. Yes, only go through the Play Store. Good. For the firewall protection. Okay, I'll let the person, I don't know if I have an answer to that.
Free firewall protection to suggest to seniors. Does someone have an answer to that on the panel?
Not really. There's some that are built into your operating system, like Windows Defender, and there are some other private ones that you can purchase or free versions, but we don't have a recommendation for one specifically.
Well, just jump in. I am aware of one that was created by CIRA. They're the Canadian Internet Registration Authority, and it's um, a free online safety tool. So I'm just going to put a link to it in the chat.
Oh my gosh, they're one of our partners. I'm not doing such a great job of promoting that. That's a great reminder. Yes. Canadian Shield is awesome. And it actually uses some threat information from the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, which is a part of CSE and informs the Get Cyber Safe campaign advice and guidance. Great prompt, Trisha.
Someone has a
It makes the dream work.
Someone has a question. How safe is it to let Chrome save your passwords? Is it worthwhile to get an antivirus program? So I use Chrome to save my passwords, but again, ensuring that I am really safeguarding my own computer, not using public Wi-Fi, and having really strong and secure passwords for each. I have never had a problem, but I'm not sure.
I would say that using a password manager is one way to help alleviate you having to remember all of your passwords. You just have to remember one really strong one, and then your password manager does all the work. That might be a little bit sophisticated, but that's something that you can work towards as you upgrade your passwords to be unique for every account that you have. And there are some great features where your password manager will autofill. So that gives you a little bit more security because it's going to fill only after you've verified that you want it to fill. And the browser, you don't have much control over the security of it in the same way that you would as you would with a password manager. Awesome. I think that might be it for today. I don't see anything else. Well, thank you, Jennifer, for such a comprehensive presentation. I really appreciate MediaSmarts for making this session possible. Your expertise and just the way you deliver everything is so clear and concise and lovely. You captured our attention, I think, the whole time. And so I hope for you, our participants, that our workshop today helped you feel a little bit more confident about building a safer online space, taking just one little step at a time. You can certainly find more resources and tips on cybersecurity at getcybersafe.ca. And I encourage you to follow us on social media for updates on our future workshops, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one next week or during Media Literacy Week in 2 weeks. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and please stay safe, stay secure, and have a great rest of your day.